Flat Earth Debate live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Sensual Goat, Neil, Click OK, Duncan, Eli, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server. So, welcome one and all.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning.
Hello, hello.
Bonjour.
Good morning. Right, we're going to do quick fire housekeeping because we've been a bit lax in that regard. We do a couple here and there, but I want to get through all of them quick fire. So let's hear some answers. Hopefully they're good. If we do have to expand into a question, that's fine also. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge that's a horizon, formerly known as Earth curvature?
No. Black Swan.
Was that Duncan?
Black Swan.
Right, if the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then every distance to horizon measurement could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet as per the distance to horizon in the Earth curve mathematics. Distance to horizon in reality, Black Swan image, is beyond the geometric limitations of an Earth sphere radius 3959 at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in their maths. Therefore, the horizon is not Earth curve, and the Earth is not a sphere. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
I would require an observation of Earth-based Coriolis effect, and we don't have that.
No, we don't. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Nope. We need an observed phenomenon, and we don't have that either.
You're a bit muffled, Duncan. Are you underwater? I think I heard you. You need an observed phenomena for gravity, and there isn't one, I think is what you said. It was just very muffled. I don't know if you want to drop and rejoin, or there's something wrong with your mic, or you're just not talking into it. You're talking into a pillow. Anyway, yes, there is no observed phenomena for gravity. Meanwhile, is there any scientific evidence from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
In relation to what, sorry?
Any globe evidence whatsoever? Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
I believe it's all assumed. No, not really.
That would be a no. Mic check.
Much better. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Nope.
There's no way to measure that distance.
Well, I certainly calculate it and give off a claimed distance. Any evidence of the R value needed to claim the distance to the sun?
Nope.
For the R value, we'll need the horizon to be Earth curve, but that's not Earth curve, so we don't have an R value either.
Well, no, you can. You can derive it from a flat surface level. Al-Biruni derives radial value after inferring that the surface he measures flat has curved after derivation.
Yeah. So can I add to that, right? If Al-Biruni measured Earth on the Black Swan observation, then that would make the radius value of Earth over 200,000, right?
Not really, because the process of Al-Biruni's dip is to calculate it based on the height that you've measured from surface level, go up it, and then calculate the dip after you've ascended the height that you calculated. So in his case, he's figuring out how high the mountain is, then going up it, and then calculating the dip from the surface level. That's a flat level that he's calculating dip to at altitude. So you need the height of eye parallel with eye level, surface level, and the difference between the two. Once you've got that, you can infer that that dip is based on the surface curving away from you. But at all calculable points, you're calculating that with a surface level and eye level parallel with it. It's the same process in Earth curve maths, whereas the black swan is just a straight up observation, which you can take Earth curve inference of a distance to horizon at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height feet. But that's very specific maths to the black swan. It's debunking their claimed geometry, whereas Al-Biruni's claiming to extrapolate out the geometry from flat Earth measurements. So they're two very different things in that regard.
Oh, really? Okay. I was under the impression that if Al-Biruni was, say, at the location of the black swan, and he did what he did to measure the radius value, then that's what would happen. Like the radius value would be 200,000.
You just don't need the addition of Al-Biruni. It's just superfluous to this statement. So you're saying that if you calculate the distance to horizon and extrapolate a radial value based on that distance, then the calculated radial value would be beyond the heliocentric orbital value of the moon in terms of the size of Earth.
Yeah.
Yes, it would be. Something like 250,000 mile radial value with the black swan as the base of the calculation.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. And the fact that we've got like multiple observations of the black swan, it's not like just one off.
All swans are black.
Yeah.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
100% no.
The very notion is
Oh,
absurd.
wait. I know. The Earth itself. No, I'm just kidding.
You can't beg the question of a sky vacuum by just pointing at the sky and saying, I believe it's a vacuum and we do have gas pressure, therefore gas pressure isn't filling a vacuum. Straight up begging the question.
Yeah, that's what the Globers do all the time.
On Duncan.
The very notion is absurd.
Yeah, ergo outer space is fake. The sky is not a vacuum. Any evidence of a self... Go on.
I was just saying, Nathan, if it was possible, you would be able to demonstrate it.
Well, the description of how gas behaves is described in a law of nature. So you're saying if it was possible, you'd just show it, but by showing it, you'd violate that law of nature.
Yeah, which is interesting, right?
Well, it's not interesting. It's just impossible. To show gas not filling space, not following entropic dispersion, is a violation of natural law. Wandek saying, if it was the case that we could have a sky vacuum, you'd just show it to be the case. Well, yeah, but then we wouldn't have a law of nature to describe gas dispersion, would we? It would be violating it.
Yep. Also, they can't even demonstrate a vacuum without containment.
Yeah, that's correct also. You can't have a vacuum without a container either.
Yeah, this is what I always ask them. Demonstrate for me a vacuum without containment. And they're like, oh, well, I can't do that. I go, well, is the vacuum of space contained then? No. Well, it can't exist.
Okay. I'm sure we've missed a question. What's the question? Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
Totally
The
not.
bottom line of the angle is along the surface, and that's a straight line. So no.
Yeah, the surface is measured flat.
Yeah.
Nathan, on this point, right? You know the way the Globers do it, they depict themselves in hell, as you say. Is that the only way they can extrapolate the what do you call it? The drop for every 69 miles, it drops 1 degree, but they have to depict themselves from hell. Is that right?
No, when you describe it that way, you're describing the Earth as a protractor that's turning, aren't you? Your angle in hell is the respective angle to whatever star you're looking at. But if you're describing moving along a latitude that's on a globe, then you're describing the turning of the globe itself as a protractor. With you in hell, if you're going to claim that that's a measurement, which it isn't. It's on screen now by coincidence.
Okay. Because that's what I'm asking, because I had this debate with Globby too. I'm like, and also Jorge Physics again. I go, why are you depicting yourself from hell or the center of the earth if you're talking about the surface? Because I'm like, I made that argument. I go, well, if the curvature drop on a globe is exponential, then Polaris technically should drop exponentially as you move.
You've got way too much empathy. Me, in that scenario, we're not in hell! That's my attitude. You can ask them, why would you be placing us in... You can do that. Too much empathy.
Okay.
Are we in hell?
They always have...
We're not, no. So that's the end of that then.
Have to put themselves on horizontal.
Sorry, one day, go ahead.
They need the horizontal baseline. Any way they can get that, they will.
Not only that, one day. To describe curvature, horizontal plane of reference is required. The rate, right, at which it's curving. Yeah.
Yeah, you need the horizontal to describe the rate of the drop from.
That's right.
Yeah, you'll need a flat earth for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've got to learn this argument more, I think.
Which argument? The from hell bit?
No, like, because I got confused. Like, Globby was arguing with me about it. And he was basically saying, oh, I don't believe you. Like, show me how it works. Show me why Polaris tips 1 degree per 69 miles. I'm basically saying, well, the way he showed it, you're showing yourself moving over a curved surface, whereas I'm saying our vision is curved, causing that effect, and we're on a flat land.
Why are you explaining it? How does this have any bearing on the debate? You've been Jedi mind tricked. So it's like saying...
I know. This is what it does.
Who cares why it does it? What we measure it with is all that is important. So when they say, well, I say it's because we're going over a curve, I couldn't give a crap. Not how we do it, is it? You being asked why, for example, Polaris recedes towards the horizon. You're asking me to explain why it does that. Who gives a toss? Am I the arbiter of why the stars recede to the horizon as you back away from them? No. It's a useful, practically applied fact. So they do recede by a 1 degree measured angle off a flat Earth towards the horizon, and we practically apply that principle. Why are you asking me why it does that? I couldn't give a crap why it does it.
Yeah.
It does it. And we measure it, doing it. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I tried to say that to him as well. Like, I'm like, I've really made that point. I'm like, well, the stars just drop and we measure angles to it with just straight lines, right? And I made the point where we see in a dome of vision, which curves visual space, just like streetlights and trees in the distance converge.
No, we don't. That's wrong.
Down.
No, we do not. We don't see in a dome of vision. You can represent what we measure with respect to the parallel plane with the parallel sky with a receding angle through a protractor and describe that graphical representation as a dome of perspective. That is not what the world does. That is your description of your perception presented in an orthographic representation. That is not how we see the world. Just because a star gets closer to the horizon doesn't mean it's curving towards the ground through a dome of your vision. What dome of your vision? You're just seeing stuff at varying distances with limitations based on the aperture of your eye. That's it. To say you've got a dome of vision is a way of verbalizing that which you experience. It doesn't make it physically literal. There is no dome of your vision.
Okay.
And meanwhile, you've just measured an elevation angle from sea level, and they want to start talking about vision. Well, you're measuring an angle from sea level, which requires a horizontal plane, which is flat Earth proof. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
okay,
stuff,
I didn't know that with the...
to hand wave it in the way I am has taken me to learn all of the perspective nonsense. Yeah, and I keep crediting him for it because it's solely down to him, basically. But life is short. Took me by the hand and took me through his 12 months of research and endless documentation with presentations and visual diagrams to explain exactly what he was telling us and how it worked. So that at the end of it, I can go, I don't need any of this, do I? Yeah? These descriptions describe something that I don't need to prove Earth's flat. Every part of this description is flat. That's a fact. But that's not proving the surface of the Earth is flat. Why am I learning it? Because they claim the horizon's a physical hill getting in the way of stuff. It's their positive claim that failed with the black swan. That's it. Why does the horizon... I don't care. Well, you need to tell me... No, I don't. You say it's Earth curve, it isn't. That's it. What's that? You want to know what the horizon is? Why? Oh, because we used to think it was Earth curve back when we were brainwashed. Okay. So what? Well, what about the sky? We need to know why it does what it does. Why? Well, because we used to think it was a vacuum that men travel through. Okay. So because you were told that it was something it isn't, you now desperately need to know what it is. Well, that's understandable, but it's not on me to do it for you. Go and find out what the horizon is. It just isn't any use to us in this debate anymore. As a flat earther, I can, if I choose to, explain what the horizon is with perspective. I just don't need to. It's not my job. I don't care. You globe-believing numpties thought it was a hill getting in the way. It isn't. Beyond that, the comprehension of what forms it, the angular resolution limit, if you want to succinctly describe it to someone else, doesn't really serve you anything as a flat earther, does it? And then what? Okay, it's an optical resolution point that's not resolvable by your limitations of the aperture of your eye. And then what? And Earth is flat? No, you can describe that and calculate it and visually represent it in the same way they do orthographically with Earth curve, but accurately using flat Earth descriptions, as perspective does. And then what? Proving Earth's flat? It does not. It can, in an argument that goes round in circles, be used as a positive claim that a flat earther says the perspective forms the horizon, and a globe earther says it's the hill that gets in the way called Earth curve. Yeah, then you're into a false dichotomy. And as I've just pointed out, what does it serve you, the flat earther, to argue the toss about what the horizon is when you don't have a positive claim attached to it? Meanwhile, we do measure Earth flat by utilising the horizon and its geometric principles. The axioms that are utilised are set in stone and are absolutely, without question, not debatable. So, like I say, you can get into this wrangle-dangle. I've had to learn it to realise why I don't need it.
So you're saying we shouldn't make a claim on what the horizon is?
Do you have a claim where horizon proves Earth is flat?
The fact that it's an optical location, not geometric curvature, proves it's flat, right?
The fact that it's not geometric curvature can have a logical inference strapped onto the end of it. That doesn't involve describing perspective, though, does it? If it's not a hill getting in the way, and the calculations of the hill require a flat surface to derive them, then you're measuring a flat surface. Where did perspective come into that?
Well, can you say that last part again?
If I'm measuring the surface to claim it's a sphere, and the surface I'm measuring is flat, then I can only take the measurement of the surface to be what that is, a measurement of the surface, to later infer by calculation that the surface is actually curved when you just measured it flat. That's what Earth curve is when claimed to be the horizon, debunked by the Black Swan in 2020. By undoing the principles and even using their own calculations that has a flat plane of reference utilised as and labelled surface level, I can use measurements of the Earth to debunk the claim that the horizon's a hill. I'm asking you, based on that, at what point did I mention perspective?
Yeah, he didn't, right?
Right, so
You just said-
given that you want to, where is that useful? And then what, if you detail it perfectly?
When is it useful to?
You tell me. I've already said it isn't. Learning it meant that I learned what Earth curve isn't, and learning how it's formed cemented the notion of what actually causes it. But finding out what actually caused the horizon didn't prove to me that Earth was flat. It showed that calculations of perspective would utilize flat planes of reference, and that's how it's detailed. Very useful if I need perspective to draw something or calculate something in the distance. Using a flat plane is secondary to the claim that the horizon itself is a physical hill, and debunking the physical hill may also involve flat plane measurements that just don't reference perspective in any way, shape, or form. It's only when you say, well, what is the horizon, that you start explaining it to somebody else about optical resolution, angles off the flat surface will be described to get you those limitations. But I don't see it as something that you need, because you haven't necessarily got a positive claim about the horizon. What is anybody asking you? What is the horizon? Beyond the point that they know already that it's Earth curve in their mind, is anybody asking?
In my little world on TikTok, usually when a glober asks me though, I basically say it's just the optical location where the sky appears to meet the Earth's surface. If
that's the definition of a horizon. Yeah, fine. Define what it is. But are you making a positive claim about it in this scenario?
Well, I'm saying it's flat.
Are you using the horizon specifically to say that? And if so, how are you doing that?
Yeah, I guess you're right. I'm more saying it's not Earth curve, therefore it's flat. That's kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's a logical inference that you can strap on after your claim if you're debunking Earth curve. But are you debunking it by offering an alternative and suggesting that you can explain what the horizon is with perspective? Because if you are, you're accepting what is effectively a burden of proof reversal fallacy. I say the horizon's Earth curve. What say you? Oh, I say it's perspective. Excellent. Now we've got a false dichotomy. Now, did you have a positive claim to begin with that says perspective proves Earth is flat? If so, then fine, no worries. If you say perspective proves Earth's flat, I mean, don't get me wrong, I could go around the Wrekin and get there eventually, but I wouldn't have any specific Earth measurements to strap along with it to prove it. I'd just be demonstrating how perspective functions as an isolated, standalone item that I can reference and detail the angles with respect to a plane when I describe perspective. But that's not Earth measurement, is it? Earth curve maths has got Earth measurements. They're measuring the height above surface level, parallel eye levels assumed with the respect to surface level to make the calculation to derive a point below surface level that you've just measured. There's a lot of flat Earth in their measurements when they claim it's a sphere edge. It isn't, and I can debunk it, but I just don't need perspective to do it. I think it just sets you up for a false dichotomy, where you're explaining that the horizon is Earth curve, they're explaining that the horizon's perspective. Okay, so if you're explaining that it's Earth curve, that's your positive claim that you need to make your belief in a ball come true. So you need to back it, and I don't need to do a damn thing except pick it apart based on what you claim. Not explain after the fact what it actually is once it fails to be Earth curve. It's their positive claim, let them make the claim.
Yeah. So basically, that every time they claim it's Earth curve, I throw up the black swan and be like, well, no, look, right?
You know, we get a red sky in the morning sometimes.
Say again, though, what?
You know, we get a red sky sometimes in the morning.
Yeah.
If I say that red sky is caused by the flight of the demons that comes in the morning, and they're all scared, and the light bounces off their red wings and creates that, and you say garbage, that's not correct, prove it, and I fail, and then everyone in unison turns to you who's told me it's garbage and says, well, what does cause it then? Bearing in mind I'm only saying it because I want to prove the existence of demons. You didn't have a claim in any regard whatsoever with respect to why we've got a red sky, but suddenly you have to tell me how that's done. Why? Oh, well, because I had a
I
positive,
see.
because I have got a positive claim about demons and their redness. And when it fails on its arse, you need to explain explicitly what causes the red sky at night or in the morning.
Yeah,
See
I
where I'm
get you.
going?
This is the problem I have sometimes because I get into this point where it's like debating the globe is. It's like, well, if you can't explain how the universe works, it's a globe.
You just say, okay, well, just accept that, go in peace. Have fun, Fundy. If you think that me not explaining something validates your religious belief in a globe, then fine, go in peace. That's the problem. A lot of us here, not by stereotype, just I know by personal experience, are super concerned with how many conversions you get. Yeah? How many people have you brought to the subject of flat Earth? We're not Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah? I am not a flat Earth evangelist. I'm not out knocking on people's doors. I don't have a conversion rate. So when you've got this empathy with the opponent, well, they tell you you've got to explain it to them, and if you don't, something will be consequential to you. And it sounds like a you problem, doesn't it, Angels? Not you, but them. Sounds like a them problem.
Yeah.
Right, recognise that. You've got too much empathy. Well, if you can't explain it, then what? If I can't explain it, your failed argument suddenly comes true again. In your deluded mind, it does, because you need to sleep tonight.
Yeah, it's like when you debunk gravity or, or something or yeah. So, okay, it's like when I keep debunking the lunar eclipse. It's like, "Ooh, what causes it? Well, I don't know. And it's like, oh, well, it's the Earth's shadow again.
Yeah, the moment you don't give an explanation, they reassert that it's the orbital motion of occultation causing shadows. No.
Yeah.
The Keplerian orbital motion comes from R-based derivatives measured off a flat Earth. Absolutely not. Your mathematics isn't going to turn the world spherical with us in hell measuring angles with orbital motion. We're not in hell to calculate Keplerian orbital motion, as described on screen, with a plane of reference. That's not how Earth is measured. So, no. What's that? How do I explain it? I couldn't give a toss. Oh, well, then it's definitely orbital motion derived from flat plane measurements. If you like, go in peace, Fundy Zealot.
Yeah,
Just
it's
saying,
pretty
like,
bad.
even if they do start using the word horizon, they shouldn't be using that word if they're trying to describe curvature, because the horizon's got nothing to do with curvature whatsoever.
Can you explain that one, Dick? Because I wanted to use this on someone. I didn't really understand what you're saying.
Well, has the horizon got anything to do with Earth curvature?
Well, no.
Well, no,
Because the
it's not.
horizon's always horizontal and flat, right? And it's always...
Well, even the definition of it doesn't describe it as Earth curvature. It's just an apparent location, and it references surface level and the surface of the sea, where the sky appears to meet the surface of the Earth. So it's referencing Earth. It's horizontal. It's got nothing to do with curvature whatsoever. The only thing we use it for in celestial navigation is to establish horizontal, which again has got nothing to do with curvature. We're talking about horizon horizontals, not mentioning any curvature yet, are we, when we're trying to explain this globe?
No. It's like you said one day, right? The globers use all these words like sea level, eye level, horizon, but they're describing a globe.
Well, they're
describing a flat plane when they use those words.
I mean, they're trying to describe a globe, but they're using all the flat Earth terminology.
They're actually... That's what they're doing. They're telling you how flat Earth is measured.
Yeah, that's correct. The more time elapses, the more we realise that every single thing that they utilise in terms of Earth measurements, later calculated into sphericity as per the diagram on screen, ultimately has its genesis in flat Earth.
Yeah, see, Nathan, just one more time. With that graphic that was just up on the live, this is where I got the dome of vision from. So you're saying that's incorrect?
We're looking at ourselves from a third party, from a third, third person point of view. We're looking back on Earth in that diagram, in this diagram also. we're looking at an orthographic representation of a person standing inside a protractor coloured in like a globe, with the angle to the star and along the surface, in this case along the equatorial plane. Okay, so you aren't being represented as how you see things, because you can see your own position. Now, admittedly, in this diagram, your own position's in hell, but it's representing an angle measurement of the surface to the star. But the dome that's wrapped around your position, in this instance, globe-shaped dome, isn't actually representative of what the stars are doing. All the stars, in terms of how we have measured them, are parallel with the ground. Now that means that as the angular limitation to the star kicks in at the horizon, it would appear that it is receded over a curve towards the horizon. Now you could also just draw it as a straight linear line towards the horizon, as a straight slope, if you will. But either way, what you have is your representation of your perspective view of a star getting further away from you. It's moving over more and more distant lands in terms of its GP position that we track and use in the almanac. Well, as that does that, it's not receding towards the ground. It doesn't touch the ground at its GP position, does it? So how can you...
No, it appears to do that. Yeah.
Right, so you don't have a dome of vision.
Okay, so you said the star. You just said the stars are parallel to the grounds.
Yes,
is that right?
That's correct.
So you're okay. Wait. Well, so if the stars are parallel to the ground, so I know, being a flat earther now, that
not if they are. Not if. The only reason celestial navigation functions, before you start asking me why it does this, I'm not going to give you an answer because I don't know. That's the only reason this functions. As you raise in elevation, your angle remains the same. It is always, without exception, parallel with the ground. At all altitudes, I might add.
Hang on, say that again. If you raise in
all altitudes, the angle that you measure with respect to the surface that will be parallel with it if you are at altitude is the same at all elevations. Ergo, it can only function because it is parallel with the ground and remain so at all elevations.
Okay, this is
that's weird because Angel. That's weird because on Earth, if we measure the angle to a lighthouse, if we raise an elevation, that angle would change. But that doesn't change for stars. That's why the stars are weird.
Well, they're not weird. They just remain parallel based on measurements with respect to the surface, which is also parallel with any plane of reference you draw at any point. So if you go up 5 feet and level a parallel surface out by way of using a bubble sextant, and then you go up 50,000 feet and do the same thing, the angle measurement to the star is the same. Ergo, it can only function with practical use for GP positioning if you're going to use angle measurement, because it is parallel with the ground at all altitudes.
Wait, so hang on. Okay, wait. So in the south, it's the same thing, right? The stars are still parallel to the ground?
Yeah, navigation functions no different in the south. There's a lot of distortions on the maps, far more than in the north, but other than that, the principle remains the same. Elevation angles to the stars that remain the same at all altitudes, yes.
But the stars, compared to the north and the south, are equal elevations, you reckon? The stars?
I don't know their altitude. Their actual altitude would elude us, because as you raise in altitude, the angle does not change. Like it was just explained by Duncan, if you're going to calculate the height, then you need it to be a fixed position. The angle should reduce as you raise in altitude, but for the stars that is not the case. They remain parallel and remain the same angle measurement at all altitudes.
Okay, so is the sky flat?
As far as we measure it, yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Flat firmament theory.
Not flat dome theory. That's how
Pour
it's
that on your
practically
pipe and
measured.
smoke
No,
it.
no, no, no. That's how it is measured. Principles
cool.
of
That's
deriving the distance. Yeah? Minus from 90 times by 60. That's giving you a co-altitude distance along the ground. Vice versa, you could look at it as an angle that gives you the distance along the sky. But you're not navigating the sky, and we're not trying to find sky distances between stars. We're trying to find GP positions. So there's no practical use or necessity to establish the height of the stars. And I'll say it one more time. Furthermore, as you raise in elevation, the angle does not change.
And there's no explanation for it. We don't know why that happens.
Hey,
It just
but
does.
are you saying it should? Yeah, sorry. Are you saying it should change, right? But it doesn't for the stars.
No, thank God it doesn't, because now we can use them for navigation. The fact that they remain parallel with the ground means that their GP point can be established at all altitudes with the same process of angle measurement. So thank God they do that, because we navigate with them. We've expanded the known world with them because they do that. So when it's like, well, they should change in angle as we raise, well, thank God they don't.
Oh, okay.
Like, if you were going to compare that to anything else in reality, right? Like, the angles change as you raise an elevation, but the stars, they don't.
Well, wait. Say that again. The last part.
Everything like that we know that we measure with angles as you raise an elevation, the angle changes because you're raising an elevation. But the stars is the one exception that doesn't do that.
What? This is what? Okay. Is this why we see only the apparent locations of the stars? Is that correct?
I don't know what you mean by apparent location. We know where they are above a given time. That is to say, at 6 o'clock this evening, there will be a star directly above my head. Now, 15 minutes later, it won't be, but at that given time, I am at that star's GP. Now, if you're at sea measuring that star, the point on the map below that star at that time when you measured that angle is where I am standing, because I am at its GP. Now, that angle that this guy on the boat measures to the star above my position out in the ocean is the same angle that the guy above him in a hot air balloon measures. He gets the same angle. Yeah? Which means that their angle doesn't change as you go up in height.
Oh, this is trippy. Okay.
Well, it's not just trippy, it's the basis of our navigation system.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. Wow.
Right, because we have a parallel plane with the sky, we can make these calculations and extrapolate out distance to GP. Minus from 90 times by 60, and the angle doesn't change at any height. Very useful for navigating. But for the fact that it doesn't change, we wouldn't have expanded the known territories and found our way home again.
Yeah. It's almost like the creator made it like that.
It's almost like they were made by God to help us find our way around. Yes.
Yeah.
I knew this was going to blow your mind once you got it.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is crazy now. This is
Yeah.
amazing.
The hand of God has laid out a system that we use to find our way around. And it's flat.
This is crazy because I also know that like when you see these balloon footages, like as in flat earth footage, the stars turn off at a certain altitude. You don't see them anymore.
Not necessarily true. I've been in flights that you can see stars from.
Really?
Patricia Steer also had a discussion with me about this. She's seen the same. So, it depends.
Is that from a plane?
Yeah, I did loads of flying all over the place, and so did Patricia Steer when I was telling her about this.
I'm talking about like upwards of 100,000 feet turns off.
Yeah, but I'm saying if it varies, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't at even lower altitudes. Surely it would be the same at higher altitudes. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't.
Okay.
There may be a
Doesn't
limitation.
dispute the fact
I mean,
that-
I don't know. It's the sincere answer. And I don't know why you'd be up at 100,000 feet trying to get your sextant out. I think you've got other things to worry about.
No, I've just noticed, like, in all the footages that you see, like, you know, all the amateur footage that they send up balloons, or like you see, it looks like the ISS footage just flat, but there's no stars. Like, it's like they're not there.
Aren't they sending these up in the daytime?
Well, yeah, yes.
Right, so you get a black.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you go above the blue and the footage shows black, and you're equivocating that with
Yeah.
night. Well, no,
Oh my God.
they're in the day. It's just because it's black above a certain level.
I think I have seen ones from the nighttime though. But
I've not. Okay, well, have they got stars?
No, I don't think I've ever seen ones that have stars. That's what I'm saying.
Sorry to interrupt, gentlemen, but I do know, for example, the Lockheed Blackbird that flies at about 60 to 80,000 feet uses celestial navigation when as a backup system. So that is a vertical port that a sextant-like device points directly upwards to the stars and measures angles. So
Hang on. They're not going to be doing that at their maximum ceiling, though, are they? They're going to be dropping to do that, I would imagine. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, but they're still going to be using the stars to navigate.
Yeah, but it doesn't address
Is
this
it?
though, does it? It doesn't address whether or not we can see them at 80,000+ feet, because we don't know.
No, we don't know, but we do have technology that does use this at certain altitudes, like a ceiling, like you said.
Yeah, they all do. They've all got it as a backup, haven't they? You know, if you get lost, having a sextant and a map and an almanac is your ticket home if you're lost. So it makes sense that they've got it as a backup. Now, obviously, it's just that. It's a backup. It's redundant because they've got GPS using a flat Mercator projection.
But just to be clear, you guys said normally angles would change when you raise an elevation, but the only known thing that doesn't do it is the stars, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. If you're looking at a tree in the distance and you happen to be on a hot air balloon, on the ground, you're looking up at the tree towards the top of the tree. Then as you rise so it's level with you, you've got no angle, higher or lower, you're level with it. And then as you rise above it, you've then got a depression angle as you go above it.
Wow.
Right, well, the stars don't ever do that. You get an angle from the ground in your hot air balloon to the star, and let's pretend for a second that you could instantaneously acquire 10,000 feet altitude. Because the problem is that in that time, if you're measuring the stars, they're going to have moved. But hypothetically, you've got a scenario where you're on the ground in the hot air balloon. Let's just have two. There's one waiting to go and one that happens to be directly above it. They've both got sextants. They're both measuring the same angle to that star.
The only way
That's
the angles
insane.
change is if you move along the surface away or closer. And stars move themselves as well. So
Yeah, that's insane. It's like they move up. It's like they're made individually for us, right? And they move as you move, right? This is weird.
And it is amazing, and we don't know anything about it, do we? We don't know why it does it. We don't know what they are. And sometimes the ballers will try and push you and start talking about this once you've explained that you're obtaining an elevation angle from, say, sea level, a horizontal plane. And they want to talk about the heights of the stars then, and why there's this and why is that. We don't know. All we're doing is getting GP across the surface of Earth to find out where we are to navigate, proving
But
that
that is
flat.
what they are. So we have a tendency to overcomplicate things. If I say tree, and you go, oh, I know what a tree is, and then I ask you, what do we do with trees? What do they do? You'd list off a list of things that the tree does, or that we use the tree for. If I then do the same with stars, and go, what are they? You go, well, they're the twinkling lights that we use to navigate with. You go, well, that's what they are then, aren't they?
Yeah, that's all we can say about them. Yeah, we're using them to pinpoint our positions on Earth via elevation angles from sea level.
What are they? Well, they're useful for navigating, is what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no
Exactly.
further explanation needed. Oh, well, why do they do that? Why does a tree do what it does? Explain tree. Like, well, it gives us wood and it produces oxygen. No. Why does it do those things? Like, well, this seems kind of superfluous to necessity. I don't need to explain why it does that. It just does that.
Yeah. I think when they ask that, we should say, you should probably ask the creator.
No, it's not your burden. That's what I'm saying. This whole discussion is a nice segue back to the beginning. You giving them the satisfaction of your explanation that the creator made it that way. No. That's not the right tact. Why am I being asked this? Why, when someone says to you, why does the tree do what it does? Do you look at them with a slight slant in your head, a slight wonky eye, and go, why in unholy hell are you asking me this? Or do you go, oh, you better go and ask your creator? You look at the person sideways and go, why are you asking this? Excuse me, why does tree do tree? It just does. Do I need to explain this? Why do stars do stars? They just do. What do we use them for? We use them for navigating. Well, why are they there? Why is the tree there?
Now that you understand this, you'll probably start talking about it. You'll get a lot of responses about heights of stars, like we were saying earlier. A simple question when they start asking you what the heights of stars are is just ask them back, are you saying you can measure the heights of stars or you can't measure the heights of stars? I'm not sure what you're saying. So make them clarify the claim and then just go from there.
Oh, you're gonna flip the burden onto me, are you? You want me to give you the height when we don't practically apply it in any way? Oh, were you under the misapprehension that you could acquire the height? Oh, I wasn't claiming. Oh, you go ahead, be my guest. Give me the height, as you're suggesting it's acquirable. No, I'm suggesting you need to be giving it me, flat earther. Oh, I didn't make any claim about that. It's not practically applied or useful anyway, but you seem to be alluding to the idea that you can. So go right ahead and see where you get. Right, Duncan?
Yes, just ask them, what are the heights of some of these stars then? And then watch them flounder.
I do, yeah.
Say, well, we can't measure the heights of the stars. I'm like, oh, then why'd you say we can't? And then it's funny.
Because this is what happened with my debate with Globy today. He goes, well, if you do triangulation, you can get the angle to Polaris. And I go, well, what if Polaris, how do you know the size of it? I didn't know this. I wish I knew this today.
We're talking about ground positions. We're not interested in the distance to the stars. That's not celestial navigation.
No.
Yes, which step of celestial navigation does it say to measure the heights of stars? Nowhere.
It doesn't.
Yeah, well, and they all assume those distances anyway. They don't know.
No, they don't assume the distances. They derive the distances with Keplerian orbital motion and Huygens' quote, ingenious assumption that Venus has the same spherical radial value as Earth's derived radial value, which we discussed earlier. That's how you extrapolate their distances. Number one, we're not in a hell-based orbital motion with angles represented from the centre of a sphere derived from the acquired angles off the flat surface, aka Keplerian orbital motion. And we are certainly not in that model reified by Huygens to make an assumption that the sphere derived from flat plane measurements is extrapolate-outable, if that's even a word, onto Venus in that orbital motion with occultation and eclipses, as we were discussing it earlier. It's all garbage. The principle behind the measurements in those maths is flat Earth angles to the stars. They can't violate the base principle measurement to suggest that Venus actually is a physical item in orbit around us if we're in hell, transposing angles that we measured from the surface that's flat. It's all nonsense.
a
Yeah, well,
breakdown that helped
is
me
there a-
understand. A breakdown that helped me understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, is first you measure Earth flat, then you calculate that into a globe, then you assume Venus is a globe of the same size, and then you can do scaling and measurements from there.
You got the scaling in the wrong place. After you've calculated Earth to be a spherical ball based on flat circles that you measure like on screen with angles to the stars, you can then infer orbital motion. That's Keplerian orbital motion. That's where the scaling comes in Kepler. He just can't ascribe a value to anything. So you can slide the scale any way you like. You just need someone to put a number in somewhere to actually define the distances. So where you put that at the end, it comes before Huygens. So first flat plane measurements, then ball, then Keplerian orbital motion, then Huygens' assumption of sphericity for Venus being the same as the flat Earth measured sphericity for Earth. Make sense?
Perfect. Thank you.
Just got to get Kepler in there.
Could I ask,
Good.
is there a place where I could go, like a source that says this that you're saying, the phenomena with the stars not changing angle?
There is a source.
Is that admitted by them?
From a wise
Celestial
old
navigation.
lion. You must travel through the wardrobe to the source of the information, angels.
Because that's mind-boggling to me. That's interesting. Because I'll be honest, that's like when I don't know if you remember when I showed you that picture of the moon I took, and then it had the skydivers next to it, and it's like, well, if we are the skydivers, the moon is not going to be sitting next to them that huge, right? So it's just super interesting. It's like actually the celestial bodies move away as you move. Like, it's crazy.
I don't really know what you're asking.
Oh, okay, hang on.
Hey, Tenth.
How you doing?
How are you doing?
Hello, Ted.
I'm gonna catch an airplane in a little bit, but I was listening to the show. Let me see if I can get this off speaker. Or is my sound all right?
You sound fine.
Okay. I was listening to the show, but yeah, don't have much time. But let me kind of comment, if I may. One deck said to establish horizontal at sea. Well, that's an obvious. That's why they use the horizon, but it's not to establish horizontal. The sextant is sighting the star, and you rock the sextant to establish vertical of the star against the horizontal, because there is no landmarks at sea, just water. So obviously sea is level, that creates the horizontal. And now you pick your star, one of the 63 navigational stars. You rock your sextant until the bottom of it is kissing the horizon, barely. You don't want to go below the water line. And you say mark. So you have your perpendicular. And I'd like to see a baller try to explain perpendicular with a curved baseline. So that's the purpose, is the 90-degree position, the GP of the star, which creates the right angle triangle with the observer, which also is the flat baseline, because a right angle triangle requires a flat baseline. So everything about the sextant, everything about the horizon, everything about rocking it until you get a perpendicular negates anything to do with a curved surface or a globe, especially when everything in the almanac is already configured to the equatorial plane with a projected extension all the way to the imaginary celestial sphere, with the galactic plane, which is one big flat Earth meeting flat so-called space all the way to the stars. So nothing about celestial navigation uses a curved surface. Secondly, the SR-71 Blackbird has a star tracker, as well as a inertial navigation system. the star tracker, and Adam Meakin sent this to me, and he and Brian have all my research on it. After he sent it to me, I did research on it. It's set at ground position as they roll out the Blackbird half an hour before it takes off. So the gyro, using a horizontal baseline, is set. Now, it's pre-programmed with PAPE, P-A-P-E, back in those days. The whole flight is pre-programmed. They use all the constellations, and it's already inputted on the tape. The SR-71 goes Mach 3, has a special blue filter that during the daytime, it actually can spot the stars through the sky when it's lit up by the sun. And it's just following those star patterns. But it's pre-programmed, and it's set before the flight, and it brings them back home. If the star tracker falls apart for whatever reason, doesn't work, the whole mission is shut down. They have to come back.
And
The
so let
backup
me
is
get it straight. You're saying that the star tracker is using the celestial navigation system to create waypoints, and if they fail, they don't do the flight. Furthermore,
Correct.
You're saying that they use these star-based waypoints in the day? Nah. Really?
Yep. Yeah, they have a special blue filter when they take off during the day.
Wow.
It's well, see, the thing is, when they pre-program it, they already know where all the stars are and their GP positions are. Say they have a mission to, which they did a lot over there in Asia, North Korea, stuff like that, Vietnam, whatever. Anyway, they pre-programmed the whole mission. So they know exactly where they're going, where they have to make their turn. In fact, at Mach 3, if you make a turn in the Blackbird, it's 180-degree mile before you make that 180 turn. That's how fast it's going. The pilot cannot control, he doesn't pull out a sextant. It's all pre-programmed. When it fails, he's got to come home because he ain't got a sextant. All he's got is the inertial navigation system at that point. So the whole idea is that they know exactly where every star constellation, the waypoints in the sky are all at all times, sorry. So the whole purpose of that 30-minute pre-flight as it rolls out, it shows where they are in relationship to it so they can get back. So yeah, it's an interesting research I did. I sent everything to Adam and Brian. I still have it, but I asked them to do the presentation because I got busy. But when they use the equatorial plane as their main reference for all stars and celestial navigation, they already defeated their globe because they're now using a curved surface. They're using a plane. When they put a tangent plane on top of a circle, which they say is a globe, they already killed their globe because they're now using the circle, which is supposed to be the globe. They're using a tangent plane. The tangent plane, in their pea-sized mind, is supposed to be a disco square on a globe Earth that's kind of like a disco ball with all these little horizontal squares. Well, that's defeated by their next picture that they draw, which is the sensible horizon, which is the eye-line horizon, and also that airplane with the bubble sextant is establishing a horizontal. When you ask, is that bubble at 30,000 feet, is that a horizontal for local horizon, or does that go all the way to the imaginary celestial sphere as one plane of reference like the equatorial plane does? Because it must, because everything has to match with the equatorial plane. Now, the equatorial plane is an interesting reference that everything must match because it's a 180 when you slice that circle in half that they build, which is really a protractor over a flat Earth. Because 90 degrees would give you 5,400 nautical miles maximum distance. But because it's 180, that's 10,800 nautical miles of equatorial plane, all flat, that they're using in all the celestial navigation books to establish where the stars are. So even in their own explanation, besides the Jedi mind trick that you're on the globe, all reference flat Earth, all reference baselines, all say 180 or 90. It's a killer. The globe is dead. Even in their own books, it's dead. They never use it.
It's just cool that we're talking about the SR-71. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, it's all flat. The equatorial plane, the extended plane that they have to use at vernal equinox to get this to function from hell, is ultimately just a mask for the fact that everything is done with respect to that plane.
Yeah, the vernal equinox. The vernal equinox is the key because that's when the sun is right there at that equatorial plane. So if you can go with me here in hell, basically. And so now they have to use a flat plane with that position. Now, the reason they use that position is because they're trying to create a sky map. The Earth is no longer referenced. It's the sky that is the map. That's why in the Equatorial Mount Telescope, you can be in LA, you can be in New York, or you can be in Munich, Germany. And everyone points to the same setting that's in the Equatorial Mount Star Guide. How can that be? I mean, the distance between LA and New York is about 3,000 miles. The distance from LA to Munich is really far. How in the world do they all point to the same coordinates to see that galaxy or those set of stars? Well, it has to be flat.
Did you listen to Angel's having his mind blown about the flat sky? I'll give a disclaimer before you answer. In the same way I described the conception of having a dome of vision as being false and just a description that we apply to that, the same can be said for the flat sky. That's just our way of qualifying how we measure it. The ground, however, we are physically on and can physically measure and do physically measure. Unlike the sky, which is treated as a flat plane above the flat sky, parallel with it at all altitudes. So again, that's a conception that I'm using to simplify a description of how the sky represents itself to us, and a further extrapolation from that representation is the dome of vision that then gets turned into the dome that 10th just described as the map of the sky. You can have a globe projected through that presentation of a Polaris-centric dome of vision, with the map of the globe projected through that, with you standing in the center of that in hell.
Yeah, I heard that part from Angel. So here's my answer to it. In the same way, a set of clouds is above me, say 10,000 feet above me where I'm at, and I look towards the horizon and I see what appears to be clouds touching the surface of the Earth at sea level. Say I'm at the ocean when I'm doing this. I already know that if I was over there, the clouds would be approximately 10,000 feet above me, unless the weather was different. It might be higher or lower, but it doesn't matter. The idea is the same. The clouds are not touching the horizon. It's a issue of perspective. It's an issue of perspective. The same is true of the stars. The same is true of the star. You back away from Polaris 1 degree, it goes from 90 to 89. You go to the horizon and you look at Polaris, where is it at? Well, you're 5,400 nautical. You're 5,400 nautical miles away from Polaris now, so it can't be up in the sky. It's got to be at the horizon. So now you want a mind blower? That's 5,400 nautical miles of flat plane.
Hang on 1 second. Can I ask a question? Because
hang on.
I do want you to blow. Okay, go ahead.
Hang on. Did you understand that tidbit? Whenever something's at the horizon, that's 5,400 nautical miles. That's 90 times 60 on a baseline that must be flat. That's 5,400 nautical miles of flat Earth. Every time you see something on the horizon, it proves flat Earth.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, I'm going to do a couple of shout-outs while you digest that. So shout out to Mike808. He says, thanks for that 10th. 4 thumbs up. Also, Vlad on 0 degrees. Thank you for the super chat. Says 10th delivers great news info once again. Cheers. You're great for paying my mortgage, 10th. Thanks for being here.
Oh, wait until your book comes out.
Hold on,
man.
10th man is here.
Yeah, you're a bit slow on the uptake there, Neil. Yes.
Hey, Neil.
Oh, well, I'm not in the same room. How you doing, 10th?
Good. I'm doing good. What was your question, Angel?
Okay. So Nathan, so we know that stars now do not change angle as we go higher in altitude, correct? So my question is, if we go not quite to the equator, but just before it, so that we see Polaris still, and it's not touching the horizon yet, we still see it, and we raise in altitude, are you saying that Polaris is going to stay where it is?
No, when you raise in altitude, just like if the sun is setting or going away, but we say the term setting, but it's just going away from us, and you're at the shoreline. All of a sudden, you lift up a drone, you're seeing more than you can from the shoreline.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, for the sun.
So same thing. You can't change facts like that. I mean, that's just obvious.
What he's saying, let me just try and expand on what 10th man says.
Go ahead.
So he's saying that if you reduce your angle of view, this is where the perspective does come in useful. Shout out to Life is Short. If you, in the scenario you described, you've got Polaris right on the horizon, and then you get so low that you cannot resolve 5 feet in front of you, then yeah, there's a reasonable chance that you can make it disappear and then stand up just because you've limited the angle so much. But in principle, with the exception of how it would appear that they slow down, so as the star recedes towards the horizon, it doesn't recede at the same rate, that's 1 degree, beyond about, say, 10 degrees at the minimum. Therefore, it typically isn't used at that extremity. But in principle, to answer your question, yes, if you were to suggest that you've got a 1 degree angle to Polaris on the shoreline, so long as you're not right next to the deck and have limited your angle too much, notwithstanding that, if you were to raise in altitude, would it be 1 degree above the horizon at 30,000 feet? Yes, is the answer.
Hang on, Angel. An easier way to understand this is when they draw the tangent plane on the circle, and then they draw a straight plane of reference to they always use a human being standing on top of that tangent plane, and then there's a plane going through the human being's eyes, stick figure or whatever, and that's called the sensible horizon. Well, that's flat and 180 all the way to the celestial sphere, just like the tangent plane on the circle is, and just like the equatorial plane at the center of their supposed globe Earth is. And the same as the bubble sextant, 30,000 feet above. These are 4 parallel lines that are all straight. You with me so far?
Yeah.
Okay, so the one on the Earth, that's the flat Earth. The one in the center of hell doesn't exist. The one at the eye line is a horizontal that's parallel to the flat Earth, 6 feet above the flat Earth, if you're a 6-foot man and your eyes are right there. The one in the airplane is 30,000 feet, all parallel, all at a different, how can I put it, elevation from that fictitious baseline. Because see, the spirit level is creating a horizontal, but it's fictitious. But it has to, because it must match the Earth you live on, because it must be parallel to it.
Exactly, it must be parallel with it. So if you create an imaginary parallel with a bubble sextant, it is still parallel with the ground. So you've got the ground, and then that line that you've created parallel with it. But if you've got a guy above that, 30,000 feet, creating the same line with a bubble sextant, his line's parallel with your line, which is parallel with the ground. Furthermore, you're both measuring the same angle to the star with your sextant. So the guy on the ground, the guy with the first level with his bubble, and the guy at 30,000 feet with his bubble are all measuring the same angle to the parallel sky, with the parallel line at 30,000 feet, the parallel line at 30,000 feet matching the one at 1,000 feet, and matching the surface. They're all parallel.
Wow, that's crazy.
Furthermore, the crowning point that destroys the globe is that all the measurements for GPs for all the navigational stars are based from the equatorial plane, which is a 180, never a globe surface. And everything must match that, which means no matter where you are, you must have a parallel, because what is the equatorial curve? No, it's an equatorial plane.
Right, well, as on screen now. Hope you like my diagrams. I stole them all from you. This is the equatorial and extended celestial plane with the globe Earth as a protractor, and what 10th described as the map. Those are the projected points on this circle, if not sphere. It's representing a sphere of the heavens wrapped around this giant plane, bifurcating Earth based on a Polaris-centric equatorial plane that gives you that basically protractor in the middle of this diagram. So the majority of the slides that I currently use, this is the fourth, I think, incarnation of the Flat Earth debate slides. And currently, they're 90% tenths that you've sent me, and I've gone, yeah, I'll keep that. And then when I went and did a public appearance about 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, I put together a slideshow for that. And I'd got a base outline of the questions and stuff that I was going to go through with the audience. And I thought, these are the slides that I'll use to go along with the points that I'm making. And they've ended up being the Flat Earth debate slides now. So I hope you like them, 10th. As I say, you're obviously familiar with most of them.
A picture, what is it? A picture can tell 1,000 words or something like that. So, yeah, just remember that when they show that protractor, like you see there above that plane in this picture, you see that semicircle, half a globe there. That's just a protractor. And then the outer part with the lines is the celestial sphere. And forget that orbiting motion, that doesn't exist. So the whole point here, let me get my thoughts here so I say it right. When you look at the sun when it's early in the morning, it's coming at you from the eastern horizon. When you look at it at noon, it's either directly above you if you happen to be under it, or it's going to be at your zenith, but maybe at a different part of the earth. It's just going to be 12 noon, basically, for wherever you are. And then as you see it go away, we use the term setting, but it's just going away. It's at the opposite western horizon. That creates the protractor view. That is our perspective view of everything. That's the way our eyes work. So what they did was they took the inner concave surface of that celestial sphere that doesn't exist, but it's really perspective, and they put you there on the arc of vision, so to speak, as you see here with the eye. They just put you on top of that part of that arc, depending the angle that you have to a star or the sun, and say you live on the arc of the protractor. They do that post. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, that's when they have to use the Haversine formula and PZX triangle. The PZX triangle and the Haversine formula has nothing to do with Earth's surface. It has to do with the sky. And they have to do that because the angle emanating from the Earth widens but retains the same angle. As you know, it just widens and widens, but it's the same angle. And so they use the Haversine and the PZX to put you on a made-up curved surface, which they never use because they have to always put a tangent plane there to use, right? Because it's got to match the equatorial plane, which has got to match the level. So you see the trick there. And so the PZX triangle, the Haversine formula is all post-production. It's all flat Earth measurements. In fact, our good friend, Mr. Subject Matter Expert, over there on refraction, his name, please, someone remind me.
Andrew Thomas Young.
Thank you. Andrew Thomas Young says all refraction measurement studies, everything he did were from plane surfaces, but the Earth is not flat, so we'll take geometric considerations. Everything is post-production.
Yeah, everything has its genesis in a flat Earth measurement. Face Reality, thank you for the super chat. It says 10th is ace. Nathan is ace. This show is ace. 100%. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate the support. Not to change the subject slightly, but typically I'd be rounding up, but I'm not going to. I'm going to get myself a cup of coffee, settle myself in and stress the computer, because it's recently had a whole bunch of updates, a whole new Windows installed and a whole new GPU bunch of updates as well, graphics card drivers. So this is the only opportunity. Oh, of course, Neil's chanting straight through me. Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, because I feel like you're looking to get out of here. 10th is here. Extend the show.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you. I'll just round out what I was saying. So I will be continuing to run this live show. I'll step away and get a coffee while it's still live, because it's the only circumstance where I can actually stress everything all at once, because everything's running. And I think some of the ways that the computer actually functions have physically changed. I think this show's running on E-cores at the moment by the looks of things, from what I've checked, which is interesting. But I want to stress it and make sure there's no cracks and it's not going to fail on its arse when I've got a really important guest or whatever. Like 10th. Anyway.
I got 12 minutes, Nathan, so do what you got to do.
Well, I'm going to be staying live, so like I say, hopefully you'll chat amongst yourselves. Neil, I'll be leaning on you as I step away to get a cup of coffee while we're live.
Well, that's terrible because I'm working. But 10th man is here for 12 minutes.
Yeah.
How you doing, buddy? So
I was just going to say 10.
Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say 10th with the stars thing. So basically, someone could technically be on a certain latitude on the Earth. Say someone near Polaris, and they could get a drone, because I know someone that's got a drone that can go up like 7 kilometers.
What are you trying to do? Prove a flat Earth, or what a drone could do? Flat Earth wins with any elevation angle measurement to any star. You need to end it right there and make your claim that's undebunkable, because we can go to when this was being studied by me many years ago. Personally, about a year on my own before I would come on the show and drip it in the pre-shows, I realized that all the books on celestial navigation were globe-related books, but everything in there was using flat Earth angle measurements. And I'm saying, well, this is a violation of law of non-contradiction here. I mean, you can't say it's this and then get this out of it when it's contradictory to a globe surface. So after I had enough to where I felt like I could do some presentations, I decided to include the great panel at FED to help the arguments get stronger. And obviously, the panel has done great because now we've used it for everything, and it's led to other discoveries, because everything is measured flat baseline. You can't get an elevation angle from a curved baseline, my original statement, and the angle is two straight lines meeting at a common point called the vertex. And since you got a minus from 90 every measurement, that means it's perpendicular, which means you got a horizontal that's established and a vertical that's established. And it's got to be an acute angle. It can't be an obtuse angle. So within 90. Well, what part of that proves a globe? None of it. It's over.
That's it. I was saying this before. So sometimes we drift off into these things about the stars, and if I did this, and at the end of the day, if you just crunch down to the bare bones, we're taking elevation angles from sea level, from a horizontal baseline. There's no mention of curvature in any of this process whatsoever. It's got nothing to do with curvature.
Exactly, one deck. Every process is flat, meaning this. When you're at sea with the mariner's sextant, you're using the horizon. when you're in an airplane and your clouds are below you and you can't see the horizon and you're pretty high up, you use a bubble, both horizontal. When you're inland and you don't have a horizon, you use a flat type of dish that you can pour in some heavy type of viscous fluid. Molasses would work. Mercury was the choice back in the day. You must set it up level, and you must make sure there's a wind protection so that the wind doesn't disturb that level water. And then you do a reflection with your sextant of the sun off of the mercury or the molasses. And you have to do a half the amount because of the double reflection. So the whole point is the molasses or the mercury with the inland process, which is called the artificial horizon. So they create an artificial horizon with a bubble sextant. They create an artificial horizon with a very steady, flat, level dish with the mercury undisturbed to match the actual horizon. And there's nobody in hell at the equatorial plane. Even if you were, there's no such thing. So you see, it all requires flat. And so even the equatorial mount, the tripod that it sets on must be flat. Everything's
I just
flat.
want to drop something in here at this point. So I'm all set up now. There is a small possibility that this show will fail based on me stressing it. That is to say, pushing the computer to the limit to hopefully find if it does have that limit. And if it breaches it, that'll be the end of the live show. So if it does just unexpectedly end, obviously the usual things apply. Thank you to the panel. Thank you to the guests. Thank you for you smashing the super chat and all that good stuff. I just wanted to drop it in now just in case that does happen. Anyway, as you were.
I would like to add something. By the way, 10th man, this argument is an absolute killer. Like, I use it. If you can fully understand this entire argument, you can go into a conversation with any glober and it ends the conversation. They go away scratching their heads. It's great.
Yeah, or they have to live in denial, still pushing the globe, and have to change what an angle means, what perpendicular means. So now they look silly because they're going to say words don't mean things anymore because you proved the flat earth with those words and I can't accept it.
Navigation. Rock the sextant. Rock the sextant.
Is this your new song?
That's why we put the words together that they shouldn't be using, because like you've just described, and every word you was using was describing level, horizontal, perpendicular, plumb, parallel, angles. You know, these words are not associated with earth curve or earth curve measurement.
That's interesting.
Nothing to do with it. And these are the words that they're using to describe earth curve for some strange, bizarre reason. So I stop them personally in the tracks and say, no, you're not using that word because it doesn't fit in with your globe.
Yeah, you can't get an elevation angle from a curved baseline. That's number one. Number two, if they say it's a small horizontal local horizon, they're only kidding themselves. Because if it curves after that, the accuracy of the angle is gone and you're not going to end up where you're going. It's over.
Okay, interesting. So, Task Scheduler starts the show on the E-cores, so it doesn't reschedule them onto the E-cores after the fact. Very interesting. They've made a fundamental change to how Windows tells what software, what cores to use. If Craig's listening, he probably isn't.
I suppose that proves flat Earth too.
No, it proves that Intel want to fundamentally change how their chips operate in Windows, and that has made a difference that I've needed to have a look at. Now I know.
The globes.
I just love his technical mind.
Okay, just let me get this off my chest. Stupid E-cores, stupid efficiency cores, Just give us big E cores. That's not E cores, P cores only. Stupid P cores.
You
Anyway,
just changed the whole paradigm, but the only thing you're interested in is an Intel chip.
they give us little cores and big cores now. Little cores do certain things and big cores do certain things. Just give us lots of big ones. Don't give us stupid little ones. There's stupid things that go wrong. Anyway.
Okay, I got about 3 minutes.
3 minutes before you get on your flight?
I got to get going, yeah.
Well, bon voyage. Heading home, right?
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
stay in touch. Make sure you give us a ring, right?
Oh, yeah, no, I've got planned to be back on the, show because I've got a few presentations that I wanted to do, but I haven't done yet.
Okay.
No, these are all, how can I put it? I mean, we've already proven flat Earth and all that, but these are other things that validate what we've already proven with elevation angles, because we're going to use my presentations are going to show the practical use of the elevation angle in many other things that they can't hide. So, it's just going to steer everyone back to, yeah, this could only happen on a plane.
I see.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much done with trying to prove celestial navigation proves flat Earth, especially when their books do it for us.
Well, it's not like the Black Swan. We were talking about, I don't know if you've been keeping up to date with the flat Earth debate, but the whole front foot forward celestial navigation, we're proving Earth's flat with measurements. It hasn't had the same pushback that the Black Swan had, which is to say that the Black Swan's been dragged out for quite a significant period. Do you know what I mean?
The Black Swan is such a powerful argument to destroy the globe, and celestial navigation is the most powerful argument to prove a flat Earth. And if there were books with thousands of entries that would back up the Black Swan, they couldn't push back either. But because celestial navigation, there's thousands, millions, countless books, all proving they use a flat Earth, they have nowhere to go.
Jason Dean says,
I would say-
hold on one sec. Super chat says, the Clash are ace, says Jason Dean. Thank you for the super chat.
I would say that the Black Swan is paired with celestial navigation quite nicely. You put those arguments together, you've got, just adding insult to injury.
Well, again, like Nathan said, I was naive, I guess, when when it first came out and QE put it out with the Modus Tollens, with BLMS B69's videos. It was like, well, this is the end of the globe. Everyone's going to get it. I think I said 7 months they'd get it. They still haven't got it.
That's a good point.
Looks like
Still
the
don't
Black
understand
Swan
it.
and celestial navigation are the left, the right, and pitch data is the uppercut that finishes them off.
Nice. Yeah, the pitch data. Yeah, that airplane. I'll be getting on one again today. But yeah, I'm with Adam, Brian, QE, everybody there at our panel. We've all known airplane. It's in the name, airplane. My goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, don't go there.
Flies
Bloody conspiratard nonsense
over
with your
ocean.
Uh-oh,
airplane.
here comes AI.
No, the pitch data. The pitch data shows you're flying over a plane. That's all. Airplane,
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, but don't say it's in the name. Like, that has some bearing on it, the fact that it's called an airplane. I hate
Well, why would,
it does
okay,
have
let me ask you something. What's the genesis of naming it airplane?
I don't know. It's not
Flies over motion plane.
because it's
I
flying on
don't
a plane.
remember, but AI came in and kind of really gave it to D-Rose one day about that. Nathan, you remember what it is. Come on, think.
I don't know.
No, the pitch data. Without the pitch data,
Yeah.
it might be a weak argument. I'm not even using it as an argument. I'm just saying, look at the name. If you're flying over a globe, why would you call it an airplane? That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to prove anything with it. The pitch data proves it.
My friend showed a book, by the way, on TikTok, and he said it's called plane flying. The act of flying a plane is called plane flying. was like an extremely old book for like.
That's
like
profound.
Well, that's interesting. You got takeoff and descent in between, you know, and then a plane at a level flight in between takeoff and descent. So, yeah, 30,000 feet today. 10th man will be flying level over a flat Earth. So I'll try to catch you next week if I can.
See you later, Tim.
See you later, 10th.
All right, bye-bye.
Happy travels.
I was going to say lift.
Yeah, it's something to do with lift. Brian would be casting this down if he was here. Me, I'm trying to stay alive in a game so I can watch the temperatures rise.
Nathan, in Master B, I put a picture I took of the moon that has the skydivers next to it.
I'm a bit distracted at the minute. All I'm doing is playing a video game to stress my graphics card, but hopefully you can chat about it without asking me to do anything.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
I'll just
in case you cared.
It's an interesting.
If it all goes black in a minute, I'll wish I hadn't said that.
Yeah, just my picture's an interesting one because it shows the moon like up close with my P1000, and it's got skydivers next to the moon, both in focus, by the way, and it's just strange to me because if we were the skydivers in the photo, the moon would not be that huge sitting next to them. It would still be far away in the sky and small, like we always see it.
Didn't we go over this before?
Yeah, but it's interesting that how...
Yeah, don't bring this back up. It was a train wreck.
Okay.
We already did this, so don't try to weasel that back in.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Kiwi's put a stop to this, fair enough.
Yeah.
Perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, we're not going back to the friggin' skydivers in the moon. I'm sorry. No, we're not going over that territory again.
Is he done that because he knows I'm only paying half attention?
Yeah, somebody made a statement in Skype. I'm sorry. Somebody made a statement in Skype. You were supposed to do a video today? I think it was Liam.
Yeah. Sometimes the discussion's good, and when the discussion's good, I will always have it in the back of my mind that there is a video that we could be covering, but I'd rather the conversation continued. I felt it was a great discussion. I was talking quite a lot.
Kiwi, on a side note, I don't know if you heard before, but I made Globey McGlobeface say planes fly backwards when flying east today.
I got to hear it.
You said you got it recorded, right?
What's that?
You said you got it recorded.
Yeah, do you want me to put it in master?
In master?
Hell yeah.
What's the
Yeah, you can put it in master.
They don't get old, do they? Sorry, woke up late. Where's 10th?
He's already on his plane, I think.
He's left?
Yep.
Oh, coming back?
I don't think he's gone forever. I think the plane eventually will pull in somewhere, from what I understand.
Not that. Is he coming back onto the show? Knuckle dragger.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I know the plane's going to land.
Yeah, and it's not going to nose down around.
I'm glad we're all keeping the conversation going. It was good to see 10th. 10th recently had a bereavement.
Yeah, that's super interesting, Nathan, with the... so if you have Polaris at 1 degree, you can technically get a drone, which my friend has one that flies up to 7 kilometers. It won't change angle. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, because the Earth's flat.
Yeah.
Welcome to Flat Earth.
Yeah.
You put that thing in Angels. Could you tell them that you put it in Skype?
Tell
Master B.
Nathan?
Yeah, I'm just busy.
Yeah.
Just busy this minute, that's all. Stressing the computer. It seems to be going absolutely beautifully, which I'm quite amazed at. There we go. Like I say, if it all goes black in the next 20 seconds, I'll wish I hadn't said that.
Flatsy.
That's what I was waiting for.
I heard you, and I heard you. I bet you were waiting for that.
Yeah, I'm not at home right now, but I'm all alone. So I wanted to jump
Aw.
on since you guys.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm not
Where's
all
Bugger?
alone now because I have all of you.
Where's Bugger?
The other
He's
day-
with his meme.
He said that he despised people making gulping sounds and consuming anything via their mouth on mic. What are you eating there, Kiwi?
Say again?
Nothing,
I'm sorry.
nothing at all.
You ask me? I'm sorry. Did you ask me something?
I was just pointing out the other day you were talking about Planet Peterson gulping his drink and saying that you despised it.
Oh yeah, that swallowing sound. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah,
Go ahead and play that.
I'm good.
That
for
annoys me too.
Planet Peterson swallowing sound, but thanks.
Anyone that swallows in their friggin' mic or just the swallowing sound, you want to piss me off quick? Do that.
Make
So
you go
I have-
medieval on someone.
Say again?
Now, if QE is there, he'll go medieval on someone.
I've got confirmation that Adam will be around bright and early, apparently, today.
Yeah, I was talking with him yesterday.
Jolly good. That's probably why he gave me a formal response, like he'd had a formal invitation to the ball. I can confirm I will be attending, Nathan. I'm like, oh, well, thank you, Adam. Now I know why. It's weird hearing Tenth talk about the book, because whatever it was, probably a year ago now, it was he and I and Chuck drafting it together. And now, obviously, it's all changed and all been ripped up, and lots of what he had done and me and Chuck had done has all been sort of put to the wayside, and it's radically altered over the months, right? So when Tenth's like, oh yeah, you got the book coming out, and you're like, I've got a book coming out. Yes, that's right. It's just not the book that we wrote.
Yeah, unbeknownst to us, by the way. I mean, this was done on the hush hush, wasn't it?
Yeah, initially. Because like Brian says, that principle that Brian was talking about initially, which is that as soon as you start saying, oh yeah, I'm just starting to write a book, all you'll ever hear from there on in is, when's the book going to be ready? When's it going to... Well, you know, we'd got the bare bones outline of something that could have at any point been, you know, salvaged to publish if needed be, but it's just been turned into something a lot more polished. Well, that's worth the wait. Yes, the initial intention was to generate an extra revenue stream because I'm really poor. But you're like, I think by putting the extra effort in and just delaying it, it's ended up being by about a year in terms of the overall time to production, has meant that the end product will probably sell for a very long time. Probably after I'm dead. People are probably hearing this thinking, get you, yeah, right. Wait till you actually read it and then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, it's gone beyond the title and me as the author in terms of the quality. You know, the people around me have upped its standard so high that it will become infamous. And I'm so humble. I'm just saying it like it is. You know, it's only because it's been done with the assistance of so many others that I can say it with such confidence. In other words, I don't feel like, oh, I'm just bragging about how wonderful I am. No. With the assistance of others, it's become a reference book. I keep forgetting to just use the correct term.
Are we going to change the title to what I said?
I think that needs to be in the undertitle, whatever you'd call it.
Yeah, subtitle.
Subtitle, yeah. The Ultimate Flat Earth Reference Book being the subtitle. All roads lead to a flat Earth being the main title of the book.
Should it be the Ultimate Flat Earth Reference Book or just the Ultimate Flat Earth Reference? We could sort that out in the end.
When are you going to release it?
Since
None of your business.
Since it's done.
Oh, okay. I thought it was that you already finished. You're just like going to release it soon. I look forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit.
You know, it's interesting because I mean, I'm sure you've thought about it before, but I'm sure most of the people that I speak to in these communities in different servers across Discord, most of them I think would have Nathan Oakley 1980 to give that credence to. Like, that was kind of the route that YouTube suggested, way back before they started censoring the algorithm and suppressing this information. And I think a lot of people actually found it through you. I mean, I'm sure you know that, but that's a big thank you though, because that's pretty cool that you were like.
Can you hear that?
That person.
Is that a small choir of angels singing? I think it is.
No, I'm just giving you, that.
No, thank you.
The credit where the credit's due,
Somebody did it on Omi, and I was like, someone was like, "Oh, you're really smart," and I'm like, "No, I can pay attention. I can regurgitate information quite well, but I owe it all to the people around me who've done all the research and pointed out where I'm failing." Because that also is something that takes. Sometimes people don't appreciate when you're critical of someone else that you're doing it out of love. I know that might sound corny, but it's the same in sales, right? If somebody doesn't return to buy something else from you, they're not going to tell you, "Well, I'm not coming back because the thing you sold me was crap. If it had only done this, I'd have bought another one." Well, no one ever does that. No one ever tells you the reason why they're not returning as a customer. And the same principle applies when you're critiquing somebody. Like Daniel Pratt. Was that on a live show, or did we do that behind the scenes? I've forgotten. Did you do that live, QE?
We did it both.
It's been out to the audience. It's not relevant if I haven't heard it. Okay, QE did a show about, I think it was Creaky Blinder critiquing Daniel Pratt. And throughout the experience, QE saying, yeah, he's wrong, but he's not far off being right with just a little bit of adjustment. Now, very kind, I thought, QE, but you weren't wrong. There was many things to be praised about Daniel Pratt's approach. There was lots of things that could fall in line with our rhetoric in terms of how we do things. And it was praised in spite of being, strictly speaking, wrong. But you could see that there was just a slight path readjustment needed. Now, that is only done because... Why? Because QE wants to help Daniel Pratt, in this instance, better his style of argumentation. Now, there's two ways that Daniel Pratt can take that. One, get lost, dickhead. How dare you tell me how I should do things? What makes you think that you're better than me? That's one way of looking at it, right, QE? The other is, so if I simply ask them for their observed phenomena if they're claiming science, they're screwed immediately. I see. That could be the approach, correct, QE? I don't know if he's even listening. He's probably eating something.
I'm eating something. I was watching, but I'm not listening.
My point being that when the critiques come, it's because we want you, if you're the one we're critiquing, to do better. Now, if we didn't care, we wouldn't be doing that. That is to say, it takes less effort to think, I couldn't care less what this guy's doing. You know, there's certain individuals that we no longer critique. Because it's like, why? We've done it. You know, the fact that that numpty continues to perpetually do that wrong thing in spite of us pointing it out over and over again. It's like, why flog a dead horse? But for the most part, our intentions are sound, right? We just want people to have good arguments. That is to say, we want you to win. Then there's a new battle. Because believe it or not, is people out there that don't want to win. They want the argument to continually go on and on and on and on. They want it to be shrouded in mystery and debate. So that there's a level of uncertainty that, I don't know if that gives them a certain level of mystique within the conspiracy forum. If it's undecided, there's a question to be asked that's exciting. I don't know what the reason is. I'm just speculating. But my point is that you can have the best intentions and go, no, we're out here to give you the best possible argument so you'll win quickly. And they go, well, I don't know if I want to win quickly. You're like, well, then you don't want to win. Then there is no helping you. So yeah, if you're out there listening to this and we've critiqued you, try and say it with Witsit all the time, right? Neil tries to pepper it in there too. We like Witsit is something Neil will say. Well, I don't know if I'd go that far. I'm indifferent. It's not that I'm saying it because I don't like him. I'm just indifferent. I don't know him. But when I hear him talking about Flat Earth and then segueing it immediately into ether, it leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. And you're like, shouldn't you be hammering this home before you move on to your segue? Yeah, you've got your agenda with your true earth and your ether, but fine, do whatever you like. You know, more power to you. You be you. But if you're going to talk about Flat Earth to segue into that garbage, I mean, you be you, then at least put a nail in the coffin or two before you segue into your garbage. Don't leave it out there speculatively or utilizing science when it's not appropriate, or one of the many other things that leave a bitter taste in our mouth when true earthers talk about Flat Earth, which they often don't. They just title their videos that way to garner the views and then take them into some la-la land of ether. This computer has performed flawlessly. I'm not even joking. 36 straight hours of messing around with it. It's always the last thing you do, isn't it? Yes, Nathan, we're fascinated for you to tell us more about this computer. We love hearing about it. Not. Oh, well, I'm really glad that you said that.
We're happy it works. Good job.
I'm happy it works. Bloody hellfire. NVIDIA had sneaked out a bit of extra efficiency, it seems, from their GPU, so it was running at much lower wattage for the same voltage, which seems to make no sense to me, but it is what it is. I've given it more voltage. It's now drawing the same power it was before and not crashing. Happy days. Can't believe it was solved literally 2 minutes before starting the live show. But that is the case. The last thing I adjusted seems to have fixed it. Always the last place you look, innit? You're trying to figure something out.
I'll get them off topic. I'm thinking about doing a treatment on Peterson, but it's a long video. Wait, we may do it. I may do a treatment Saturday, and then the next Saturday we'll finish it off on Ballbusters. How about that?
We're not doing Ballbusters this Saturday, are we?
I said this Saturday I'm figuring I'll do a treatment on a small part of it, and then the next Saturday we'll finish it off.
Yeah, man, I need a day off. I've got such a massive headache.
Do you guys know about the drama about Planet Peterson on TikTok?
Is it related to the subject specifically about flat Earth or globe Earth, or the debate therein that isn't existent in reality? That's a no, isn't it? That's a. He used to be a double glazing salesman and sold people the UV protection that didn't. I don't care. Is that what this is going to be?
It's all good. No. Don't worry about it.
Go on then.
Oh, you want to hear it?
No,
Yeah,
but the
Becky,
audience
go
is
ahead.
going to want to now. You've obviously left it in that cliffhanger EastEnders style. It's going to
jeez.
want people to talk about it.
Oh,
And then we're going to get
So,
to
I
the
don't
plane
know.
flying back. And then
I
we'll
don't know
get
if
to the
he's
plane
still
flying
around.
backwards.
You're not listening to QE.
And then we'll get
Go
to the
ahead.
plane flying backwards. It's sitting in Master B. So go ahead with Planet Peckerhead. What do you do?
Yeah, Planet Peckerhead. Yeah, all right. Yeah, so he has a Discord server that he enabled some like miners in it, and there's a whole drama going on about it. Also, what's his name? PhD Blitz was involved apparently as well in that server, like backing him up, and yeah, it was pretty bad. But anyway,
Is this what you want? Schooling Globy on Coriolis.
Makes the plane fly
Yeah.
over the Earth.
Conservation of momentum.
Oh, so now there's no Coriolis.
Oh my God!
So now there's no Coriolis.
Oh, got you.
Do you understand if the atmosphere is conserving momentum with the Earth? There's no Coriolis, right?
You guys, like.
Can you wait? Oh, Globy.
This is why when I wanted the new format in new/old format in politics Discord server, right? There's 2 or 3 people just making noise.
Yep.
You guys. Wanker, shut up.
yeah.
Globy, can we recreate Coriolis on a merry-go-round?
Oh, here we go.
Yes,
I've already been over this with you. I'm not going to go over this.
Yeah, because you're getting destroyed.
Not going to fucking do
You
it.
literally just said the plane moonwalks backwards. That's hilarious, dude. Come on.
Yeah, from outside. Yeah.
But when the
Yeah,
guys
you
on
have
the,
literally,
so
you have physically zero
hang
proof
on.
of this.
Let's
Kobe.
just say,
Hey, buddy.
I mean, kudos. You've got him there, right? He's
Yeah,
suggesting
he's so
that
bad
his
right now.
justification for it is from the outside plane of reference. It's going backwards. Yeah. Okay. So you're saying from space the plane flies backwards? No.
Yeah.
But that's how you've got to justify it with your conservation of angular momentum. Actually, linear. Nevertheless, that's what he's claiming: conservation of angular momentum, right? And there's a justification for it. He's got the plane flying backwards.
Yeah.
Who was that, Numpty?
Globy McGlobeface.
Globy. Yeah, so he said, right, when you're in the plane, it's not going to appear to go backwards, but when you're in space, it will. So I go to him, okay, we get a camera, we move out to space, it's eventually going to move backwards. He's like, yeah.
Not eventually. It's going to be moving backwards right off the cuff. Globy McGlobeface, he's a retard.
The reason they do
You're
it is
retarded.
because of, to put it concisely, a reification of an illusion. So there's an illusion called Coriolis. It's a not actual deflection. To negate the 2 reference frames required to do that, they, what's the word? Conglomerate the 2 reference frames into one and suggest that one leaving a single reference frame is conserving a certain amount of the momentum of the reference that's moving, causing a curve. You're like, so it's an actual deflection that they're then describing, with globiolus effect being the cause of it. Because Coriolis doesn't cause anything, it's an illusion.
Exactly.
It's an effect. An effect doesn't cause things. It's in the name.
Yeah.
It's
My
apparent,
God.
yeah.
Yeah, they've turned the Coriolis effect, the apparent deflection, into a cause of conservation of angular momentum when leaving a rotating frame of reference that has no second reference frame to describe. Globiolus being the cause. It's just their justification for why we don't actually see anything happening.
They redefine it.
Hey, let's just say technically we can get a camera. We can get a camera, stay on the Earth, and we move the camera back until it's in space. Eventually, will that plane be moving backwards? Is that what you're saying? Maybe?
That's what it says.
Something real quick.
But it needs 3 other people to tell you that's what he said when he's being asked directly and he's there. Just wankers. Wankers that can't out chattering their gums while they hear how stupid their globe religion is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly. Who asked you, stupid, dumb, globe-believing dick? Nobody's talking to this man or the other 2 people that are yattering through you. This is a neutral
a bit
platform, though,
chaotic,
right?
yeah.
Neutral platform. So they can yatter through everything that you're
Well-
pointing out. How stupid it is needs them yattering through you, does it?
I want to say something real quick to the audience. All flight would be similar to rocketry. So our current model of flight would not work on a globe if it were a globe. So everything will have to behave like a rocket if it were a globe.
I don't know
Is that
what he was
Globy
saying
or
there.
you? Who was that guy talking?
Okay, that guy was a Globy, and I have no idea what he was on about.
Just decided to interject into the middle of the example with something new, just to put a bit of distance between the guff that he's tried to chat through and your example being made concisely. Wanker behaviour by globe dickheads, because they're losing. So what do they need to do? Oh, well, let's just have a completely random new thing injected about rockets. Oh, why? Well, because he's losing, and they all know it, don't they? This is what annoys me. This is what they need in order to throw the audience off track. If you weren't here, presumably this is edited, or I weren't here to dissect what's just happening, not in terms of the actual discussion, because that's a concise point that's already been made. But what's happening as a result? Are they conceding it? Are they snickering about how stupid their religion is? No, they're interjecting with a new point and ignoring every bloody word that's said on the neutral platform. This is what they want, right? When you hear globe idiots telling, I wouldn't go to Nathan, he's got a mute button. No. What they need is this. This is their version of a mute button. Interject with garbage through the top of any coherent example that annihilates their religious faith, so that nobody can make a coherent head and tail of it if you're an audience member, aka neutral platform.
We're talking about things in the air, Globy, not on the surface.
Imagine the amount of trust that they have to put on those rockets in order for it to catch up to the ISS. I don't believe in all that shit, but imagine that when it's moving backwards and trying to go forward.
So, Globy, if we hover a helicopter, does the Earth rotate underneath it?
Nope.
Why?
Because the helicopter.
Did he say yes?
No, he said no.
Helicopter is moving with the fucking atmosphere. We've heard.
Why is he getting so sweary with you? No need to
Because he knows he's losing.
No need to get so sweary, Globy McGlobeface. Just having your ass handed to you, son.
We've been over this.
So then there's no Coriolis, no drift. I thought you said the Earth has Coriolis. Now you're saying no, it doesn't.
Boom. Yeah, right on.
Yeah, Coriolis.
Yeah, that's it. You seem to have a very good grasp of Coriolis, right? It's definitely one of your best strengths. That is to say, you understand it inside out and back to front. And you think it's simple, which is a testament to that. If you're like, it's easy. Yeah, easy when you know how. Right, so does the Earth turn under the helicopter? No. Then no drift, dickhead. Earth turn debunked. No 15 degrees an hour, you say. No Coriolis deflection. So it's not like we're watching it drift away at 15 degrees an hour, as is claimed. Like, not an actual deflection, just us turning underneath it. Is supposed to be proving we're turning. That doesn't happen. Yeah, that's the end of the claim. And you put a full stop under it. Under it?
It's going to get worse.
Also, there's another point that's just directly beneath it that's truly hilarious. They're saying that a hovering helicopter is accelerating.
Yeah, it's defying the first law, isn't it? By their estimations in Globiolis, it's a violation of the first law. It's increasing.
I didn't even think of that.
No, that's another point.
Yeah,
that's another point.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that because technically in their model or their paradigm, it would have to be accelerating because it's turning like in a circular motion.
It has angular momentum with the Earth, so a hovering helicopter in their retarded brain is hovering and at the same time accelerating angular velocity.
Yeah, that's when they conflate the two reference frames together. What it does is twofold. QE's just described the one effect. Something that's hovering is actually accelerating. The other is that they no longer have two reference frames to describe their claim to be proof of Earth turning, because there's no Coriolis effect. That's where you just got to, right? Boom, no Coriolis drift then. What happened to the 15 degrees an hour proving we were turning? Oh, that just doesn't happen.
That's what I said to him. I go, oh, I thought you said the Earth has Coriolis. Now you're denying it.
As awesome as it is, right, it just reminds me of the earlier Flat Earth debates where, for whatever stupid, deluded reason, I felt I needed to facilitate this, allow them to cause this audio chaos. And it was only up until a point that Sleeping Warrior basically sat me down and showed me what the effect of that was on the point that was being made, that I decided no more. And from that day to this, Nathan's got a mute button. No, what I'll do is I'll shut you up. That would be the idiot that's interjecting between you and Globy McGlobeface with a random example. You'd be shut up. You got a mute. Yeah, no, you can't talk anymore. That's right, because you're just causing audio chaos, aren't you? Because your friend on the globe side's getting his ass smacked. So suddenly you need to chat and yammer through every word that's being pointed out to Globy, who's getting annoyed, isn't he? Swearing. Oh, it needs several white knights to come in on the neutral platform to save his ass. So it's giving me a headache. No offence to you. But we get the general point. And we heard the example that you were hopefully hoping we'd reference with him literally saying planes flying backwards from space. I am pretty much delighted. I've stress tested the computer, looked at every core and every bit of the computer that's functioning, and it's all functioning beautifully. So I'm happy to actually round out and say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, gifted memberships, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, hit me up on Coffee or PayPal and all that good stuff. That's it. I've been Nathan Oakley. See you all in the next video.